I'm Nathan Scott, the Executive Director of MassEnergize, and we are pleased to have you all here tonight for a very interesting conversation and presentation that we're going to be having. But first, let me just say this is the Community of Practice meeting. We did not have one in April. Those of you who are regulars know that we have this each month. If you're new, we certainly welcoming you. We welcome you. And we do this once a month, have an open conversation. Oftentimes we have guest speakers. Sometimes we're just having people sharing what's going on in their community. So this is the May meeting of the Community of Practice. We will have one in June, and then we will take a couple months off over the summer because people are traveling and doing other things. So we will have tonight's meeting and then the second Monday in June. But I'm really pleased that tonight's presentation is going to be a follow-on, I would say, from some conversations that we got started at the MassEnergize, the community leaders, the MassEnergize Climate Leaders Conference. So I'm just curious, raise your hand if you were able to join us at our conference last month. Good. Good. Looks like lots of you were able to be there. Well, that's great. That's great. Well, before we go on, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Megan, who, as you know, was kind of the moving force behind our Community Climate Leaders Conference. And then she's going to be introducing our speaker presenter tonight. Okay, Megan.
Excellent. I am happy to do that. And I guess I just wondered, and maybe you could just drop it in the chat. We haven't seen you. We did have the survey and all the conference materials, post-conference materials. But if anybody had anything to add, a favorite part about the conference, do you look back on it fondly? Do you have any thoughts for us as we gather here? I should have teed one of you up. Okay, I'll take the hearts. Excellent. Okay, well, we still are looking back fondly on it, and Joe and I are working hard to find a date for next year, and so we should be in touch on that. So very happy about that. Um, Before I jump into my next part, Ariha, did you have anything you wanted to add about community support things?
Oh, sure. Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Arya Jain. I'm the Community and Program Support Specialist at Mass Energize, and my role is being centered. Like I act as a bridge between our communities and then the technical team, the engineers we have at Mass Energize, and we make sure that we provide you technical and outreach support that you need for your momentum to get going in your community. One of the ways that I'm supporting the leaders is through the mid-month newsletter, and it acts as a resource hub for you. So if you would like me to add you to that, feel free to drop your email address in the chat, or we can connect later for that. And then just giving an update on the transition side for the WordPress. Uh, I am happy to report that all of the communities that we serve right now who are using our product the website, they are all transitioned to WordPress, and also to Social Media Magic product. I see some of the leaders here you are already using or are interested in Social Media Magic. That's all. Anything else I missed, Megan?
No, I think it's good. You are a great resource. And I do love the mid-month newsletter because unlike our beginning of the month newsletter, it's really focused on you guys, climate leaders, and what's going on and how we can be helpful and maybe tidbits or programs that are coming up. So thank you for that, Ariha. I will share my screen and give you a little Canva file. And I'm really thrilled to be here and happy to have our guest. Um, I'm going to introduce this because at the conference, we didn't really introduce social media magic to everybody, and Scott referred to it. So I'm going to introduce you to social media magic. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I will present. Present. Okay. There we go. As you know, we are here to help support climate leaders like you, share what works across communities, and provide support and resources. One of the things we had learned from surveying, talking to people, is that social media presents challenges for grassroots organizations, local climate groups. People have limited time. Posting is easy to do, right? But it's hard to do it consistently. And maybe everybody isn't as familiar with using Facebook and Instagram as they would like to be. And often it has become a back burner task where you know you can get to it, but maybe you don't always do. So those were kind of the challenges that we had. And so we have developed this product. It's called Social Media Magic. And essentially, we create social media posts and we put them in your Facebook and Instagram feeds, and it looks just like you posted it. You can see there's Williamstown Cool Community, there's Energize Framingham coming across the screen, Sustainable Medfield. We can support all these platforms over here on the right. You get to choose three. The relevant topics we try to do cycle through them on a monthly basis. So there's a variety. So you've seen those posts. Here are a few of the last ones, one on EV charging, one on um, how many miles flowers actually travel and suggesting people consider local florists or local flowers. And I want to point out that you can go to see all the posts that we have created at facebook.com/MassEnergize Studio. And here are
Hmm.
two more. And just as an example, you we send these to communities. You have the option to do nothing with them and they just post, or you can customize them. So, for example, the one on the right, I just want to point out that right here, learn more and find a farm near you. We post something, we put in here something generic. I won't say generic, but like Massachusetts specific. But if you wanted to highlight a farm in your own community, you have a week to go in and edit this post and change it to something local. So that's what these posts look like. So the benefits of them is you get a consistent online presence without a lot of work. We share them with you a week in advance. We give you two posts a week and you can customize them. So that's that product. And I just wanted to introduce it because, as I mentioned, Scott will refer to it. But his presentation tonight is not all about social media magic, but I just wanted to give it to you as a backdrop. And then also, I'm really thrilled to be including Scott and Elevate Communications because as we give you this information and these posts, we want to be sure that they're very high quality and doing the very best they can for you. So we've partnered with Elevate Communications, and they provide us with feedback and some structure to make sure that we're creating messages that are going to work and resonate in your community. So with that, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, who's Scott, and he was at the conference, as Nathan pointed out. And also, just to say that Scott's been a pleasure to work with, but he comes with lots of experience, both in the private sector as a customer, as well as he has been on the agency side, and that is where we meet him tonight. So, Scott, welcome, and we're really thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Nice to meet everybody virtually. And I appreciate that introduction. I'll just expand a little bit. I was an early adopter in social media back in, come from the entertainment industry, hospitality and entertainment. And really in the early days, before there was any paid advertising on social, we used it very effectively to engage with communities, to engage with fans, to make announcements, and it really was an efficient tool. And then, some very smart people, understood what like actual engagement, meant for particularly Meta with the invention of the like button. And the like button started to enable Meta to pull data on our search behaviors, on what we like, where we, where we engage, how long we engage, what we share, and all that information made social media so powerful. So back in my early days, I started at the Hard Rock went on to National Amusements, which many of you would know as Showcase Cinemas, and ran their global operation, and then on the marketing side, and then went to WWE. And everybody, when you start talking about WWE, which is World Wrestling, you think that it's a bunch of sweaty animals in a ring throwing each other around. Is a very sophisticated operation. And they created every piece of information that you consumed was all very manicured and distributed through social. And what they recognized there, and what I really absorbed when I was there, this is over 10 years ago now, but what I absorbed there was how powerful social media could be.
Mhm.
And then later applied that. I went from there to the agency world. And I've been in the agency world for like the last 12 or 13 years. So what we'll talk about tonight, and I'll post and publish my presentation. Um, where are we? Here we go. Um, you all can see my presentation there.
Yep.
Great. Um, what we will talk about tonight is how to leverage, social and the best practices in which we do this. And a lot of this may seem basic, but it's important, I think, to reinforce the elements of the different platforms in which we're all communicating and show how they all work together. And so we're going to go through that and really want to use this as an opportunity. If anybody has anything, is whether they're points of pain or some interesting things they'd like to share. I'm going to talk a little bit about AI and the using that tool effectively and how important it is to really leverage that tool. I'll talk about video. I'll really run the gambit, but wanted to make sure that um, there's something here that's relevant for everyone. So why communication, particularly social communication, drives climate action. So communication through our social channels, it's way more than just promotion. It's more than just posting something that's happening. It's creating an infrastructure. And you can create an infrastructure that you can leverage to encourage people to participate in your initiatives. And so how do we encourage participation? People act when they see content that's relevant to them. So they want to feel that these climate solutions that we're presenting, they're local, they're simple and easy to understand, they're financially relevant, something that's going to impact their purse, particularly today when people are really struggling to make ends meet. And they're socially validated. They're including information in the community that's a benefit to where they live, because when it's local, it's relevant and important to them. And so the job of this content that we're producing, it's to reduce friction and increase confidence. So all the materials that Megan's presenting to you earlier in this presentation and some of the stuff that we'll touch on, um, it's all designed to reduce friction so people have fewer questions about an initiative and more confidence that this is going to help make their lives and their communities better. And so we're going to shift in our thinking, and it's a mindset from information sharing, just posting stuff that may be interesting, to community motivation. How can we get people to act when they see something that we're posting on the behalf of your local community? So what actually works now on social? Tactical approach to engage your audience includes several initiatives. And I think a lot of people are worried about perfection. And when I'm putting ads out, or if I, back in the day, when I was working at my last agency, getting an ad campaign perfect was always the goal. And I'm not talking about being lazy or sloppy. I'm talking about a cadence far outweighs perfection. So we're better to post two useful updates per week than getting one perfect for the week. Don't wait for polished graphics. Repeat core themes often. If something works and people engage with it, zero in on it and figure it out and repeat it. So use templates to your advantage. And then this is a great thing that Media Magic does for you. Use one local line, localization rule. How is that locally relevant to Lexington or Medfield or Wayland? And then use the same formats monthly so content is repeatable and not reinvented every month. So you can post more often and don't have to worry about reinventing something from scratch every month. Just to give you a top line idea, and again, this is kind of stuff that you would generally come across and say, oh, yeah, I recognize that as being an effective post category. But the five most effective categories are local resident success stories. The Johnson family in Arlington cut winter heating costs by 30%. Then people look at it and say, well, how does that relate to me? If something's happening positively to somebody in that community, I think I can make this happen positively for me. Events and deadlines, things that have a date that people can put on their calendar, workshops, webinars, sign up reminders. Those are very effective for getting people's attention because people think like a calendar. They very spatially picture their lives and they want to place something on the calendar so they don't forget it. Money saving incentives, rebates, deadlines, tax credits. People are looking for savings right now more than ever. And there are tools that we have at our disposal, like with heat pumps, which we will touch on, that can directly give them tax credits and savings and rebates on behalf of the state of Massachusetts. Seasonal utility tips, spring HVAC, summer cooling, with winter weatherization. Again, timely seasonal things as people start to prepare for that oncoming season, making sure they have the proper insulation, making sure they have the most efficient heating and cooling systems for themselves. That's going to long-term save them money. And community metrics and wins. People love seeing local wins. People love seeing an upgraded home, before and after photos. I mentioned this when I was at uh, the conference. Is people love seeing before and after. So homes upgraded, turnouts for events, big wins that we can put on the boards, dollars saved, on behalf of a community. So we're going to touch a little bit on what best practices are across these four main categories for us. And LinkedIn is a business community that not everybody's in. So I'd be interested to see how many folks on the call are leveraging it. But we'll start with Meta. So Facebook and Instagram are both Meta properties. And if you are managing your community, very often people can singularly post on behalf of both Facebook and Instagram. But we want to be careful and make sure that we're properly using the platforms for what they're really designed to do. So starting with Facebook, that's our community bulletin. That's where we drop events and reminders. It's where resident stories resonate, photos of something, an event that's happening on a town level, a recap album. There was a big trash cleanup, and look at all the bags of trash we cleaned up. Links to resources, things that people can have on their community page and reference and turn back to their community page and see it in the post. Because the great thing about what Facebook does, the news feed is something that people can reference and look back on often if they need to or would like to. And then local partner tagging, helping us expand our message through local partner tagging. Um, then we go into Instagram, and Instagram's power is for visual proof and discovery. Instagram is a giant photo album of everything happening in our lives, basically. And so short reels, quick tips, myth busting, before and after images of some type of upgrade that we did for a home, simple 2, 3 slide explainers that help break down and simplify what a heat pump might do for, efficient heating or cooling. Resident testimonials and use stories for reminders. Use the actual Instagram stories for reminders for people, really quick hits. And I'm not sure how many people on the call use LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is where we lean into credibility and municipal leadership. So whenever we are trying to build a platform for engaging with partners, LinkedIn is very powerful for this. So if we happen to have worked with Mitsubishi and Mitsubishi gave our town a discount for heat pumps, and we have some kind of a announcement that we did this with Mitsubishi, LinkedIn is a great tool to do that because what you're doing is you're opening yourself to other like companies like Mitsubishi that you potentially that gives them ideas of how they can work, closer with business entities like town municipalities, but it also helps you boast of some of the successes you've done on a business level. This is a business platform, but also, town level progress, conference takeaways back from April 8th, municipal collaboration stories, and grant and funding outcomes. Those are all of the strength of the tools for LinkedIn. And then newsletter, this is our conversion engine. We this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where action happens, and it's strongest for getting people to sign up and register for stuff, workshop attendance, incentive deadlines, and volunteer recruitment. And this next slide, first I'm going to walk you through what is deemed today as the most uh, typical cadence for posting, but it's changing so fast. And it's important to note that it's changing very fast. Currently, what's actually sustainable, the algorithms that are built into all of these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, um, what they're doing is they're telling you, you post at this cadence, and you're most likely to show up in front of your target audience, people that follow you or people that are like the people that follow you on these platforms. And any more or any less will not optimize that algorithm and put those posts in front of people to the maximum amount or the optimal amount that they can put in front of them. So for social, Facebook and Instagram, it's 2 to 3 times per week. And for Facebook and Instagram, for story reminders, 1 to 2 quick updates on stories is optimal. Same thing for LinkedIn, 2 to 3 posts per week. Now, the reason why I say it's changing in real time is all because of AI. AI search is changing the way that companies are being discovered. So now over 50% of people searching are using AI before they're going into Google to search for information. And that number is rapidly accelerating. And so what happens is the way AI finds businesses or any kind of entity that's relevant is they're looking for cited content, meaning published content that you produce on your town's behalf or your own behalf, whether it's through social platforms, whether they're news stories, anything that's cited. The search platforms are looking for legitimacy through actual cited material. So what that is doing now to the cadence is now what LinkedIn is saying and what Facebook is saying is more is better. I don't want to tell you now to post more than this, but it is rapidly becoming a a case where the algorithms favor more frequent posting than just 2 to 3 times per week. You're not going to harm yourself by posting less, but you're also not going to harm yourself by posting more. So that's uh, an important distinction to make right now because it is happening so fast for us. And then the newsletters, I'm in the belief that a newsletter in this type of circumstance once per month is the perfect amount to inform the public of what's happening. And many times for our clients, the way we use newsletter philosophically is we use it almost like as a highlight reel. All this stuff's going on during the month, right? And we're posting them on all the platforms over here to your left. And there's also maybe a news hit that occurs in your local paper, all the things that are happening. I like to retell or summarize that story or those headlines in the newsletter towards the end of the month. I feel that it is a very, when you're trying to inform people, you tell them once and then you tell them again. And then you tell them that you told them again, right? It doesn't hurt to repeat what you're saying. So the point is, the more often that you drive that same message to your target audience, the more they're going to remember it and engage with it. So I use that newsletter as a wrap towards the end of the month. And then as far as big events, whether you're using a newsletter or whether you're using a social media to let people know about big events, I use the three-touch sequence. It's save the date, this event's coming up. A reminder, don't forget, right around the corner, you need to sign up for this, big local event. And then there's the last chance to register. So 3 times before the event is that perfect amount of time. And so I know it looks a little busy to the right, but there's a method to the madness here. So I created a mock post to show you best practices on social. And this is using very simple rules of thumb. The first is up top, thumb stopping image, real people in that image, local relevance, people that they can relate to instead of a generic graphic. And I'm not saying don't use graphics because people also like to see graphic representations of successes, savings, earnings, number-oriented graphs. But I'm saying real local photos are what people want to see. People want to see stuff that they can relate to. A strong first line hook, which is something that's locally relevant and it has immediate value to them. A short caption built for mobile scanning. Medfield residents saved $12,000 last month. Single call to action, RSVP to learn more, volunteer, save now. Very simple calls to action. I'm going to go through them on the right in a second. Community proof, what your neighbors are doing, what schools are doing, what town leaders are doing, real homes, examples of upgrades and improvements on real homes, and then energy, climate, action, outcome, dollars saved, emissions reduced, turnout, and installs. So if you can see over to your right of your screen, the strong hook up top, first line that grabs their attention, Medfield residents save $12,000. Thumb stopping image, that local, family that just installed their heat pump. Short scannable caption. Last month, 27 Medfield households installed energy efficient heat pumps. Community proof, show the real neighbors, local leaders, and then a single CTA at the bottom. Give people one clear next step to take. And remember, this is all designed for mobile first because most people are getting this content today on their mobile and not on their desktops. And some common mistakes that we can avoid here, posting only graphics without real images. That was something that I really leaned into there. No clear call to action, too much information in one post, and no local context. Those are all things that will not stop people in their scroll. Our whole idea is to get them to stop for a minute and review what you've got to share with them. And I pulled a couple of examples that MassEnergize has done quite well to show you very simple, because this is more real time. The last was a mock-up of what an optimal content structure could look like in a post. So you see a very timely moment on the MassEnergize post. Happy International Day of Clean Energy. It's relevant. It's today. It's that day. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to share that. That's relevant to people in my community. An easy to understand mission that is aligned with your market. Clean energy starts locally, and our community is already making it happen. Like that is a easy to understand and a very mission aligned statement. And then hashtag usage. There's abundant usage of hashtags here, maybe one or two too many, but that's okay because what this happens is this helps us with searchability when people are looking for relevant articles that matches up when people are in their feeds. And these are things that have shown up in their feeds in the past. It's more likely to show up into their feed in the future. And then a clean clear visual. And I'll show one more with an actual photo that's very, very relevant to this last conference. But here is another really great example, a very strong hook. Want to help drive a greener future in your community? MassEnergize Community Climate Leaders Conference is just another over 2 months away. So that's a strong hook to get people engaged. Also using what's called a bit.ly or a shortened link for more information. So it's very easy for them to see that hot link that they could link into. There's an authentic community image and there's event clarity. Who, what, when, and where, right there at the footer of that post. Now we'll talk for a minute about newsletters. So best practices with newsletters are there's an ideal structure to every newsletter that we should try to follow. Now, things are very often different based on where you are, what you have to message to your community, but I'm giving you some tips for things that are real interesting to people that will get them to stop to dig a little deeper. First thing is the strong subject line. Right here, we've got 3 ways to lower summer energy bills. That, for me, saving money, I'm going to look further because sometimes you never get past the subject line when you're delivering an email or a newsletter to someone. The next is we want to lead with a benefit or urgency. Save on heat pumps before April 30th. Sense of urgency. Your town's next climate workshop is open. 3 ways to lower summer energy bills. You can see them all right here in the center. These are all very relevant and they may be different relevance to different people. So they're real easy to understand bites. Save on heat pumps. Your town's next climate workshop. 3 ways to lower summer energy bills. And then a suggested newsletter flow. This is very abridged to what you're seeing here, but a hero story that has a local success. Local win. Neighbors make big impact. A photo of the local neighbors. People love to see people in their communities. Then an upcoming event, climate workshop on heat pumps, a incentive, rebate update, new rebates, more savings. The next, quick climate tip, seal air leaks, save big. And then last, a volunteer spotlight right here. And then at the bottom is a call to action. Get involved, stay connected, sign up. So really, the writing rule is very scannable for mobile. Again, most people are getting all this information on their mobile. Short paragraphs, bold headlines, one idea per section, one call to action per block. Now we're going to talk a little bit about AI. And I know that, again, this is happening so real time right now. And it's crazy to think about this, but for commercial use, AI did not even exist 3.5 years ago for commercial use. And since November, of 2023, it has just exponentially exploded. And what I think a lot of people either fear or avoid using AI for a lot of reasons. Some of them are because it's not authentic. Some of them are because they're saying that it's cheating or being lazy. It's not properly using your creativity. There's a lot of different reasons, and particularly in my industry, in the communications industry, there are misnomers that using AI is not, effective writing tools. But I'm going to dispel some of those rumors or those concerns that people have in the community. AI should accelerate your work, not replace your voice. That's a very important distinction because if you just leave AI, if you just prompt it and ask it to write something for you, it doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound like it came from you. And I don't even care if you tell it to make it sound like it came from you. We have to use it to brainstorm, post ideas. You can go in, whether you use ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, a lot of people are using Claude now, um, and say, hey, it's just before summer and I need some ideas about how to effectively summarize my home so I won't spend a lot of money on cooling. And it will give you a bunch of ideas. And then you'll take those ideas and you'll say, I like this insulation idea. I like this idea by turning my air conditioners off between these hours. I like and then you can take those ideas it gives you and say, hey, ChatGPT, or whatever you want to call it, let's dig deeper into this shutting my electricity off or my AC off during these hours. And I want to make an interesting post about it. And then you take that content and you make it yours. You repurpose it or you tweak it to make it locally, and personally, coming from you. So we can use it to brainstorm posts and ideas, tighten headlines and subject lines in emails, repurpose newsletters into social posts. If we have a great statement that's something that is happening in the community, and it's a long written, we could even take a news article that we saw and we could copy and paste it into AI and say, I want to write a social post about this. Give me a social post for Facebook, and then you can ask, all right, now give me it for link for Instagram. And then you go in and you retool it yourself so it sounds like it's in your voice. So it enables us to do more, accelerate the work we're doing. And instead of thinking about it replacing us, think about it as the best possible companion or writing partner that you can have. And I always say to the people that I work with, picture yourself as you have a team of Harvard Business School graduates working for you that are able to go research and find the work. You still have to make sure the information's accurate, and you have to make sure it's in your voice and it sounds real, and then let AI help you organize it. Let it help you polish. It's more important than ever that we get into the flow and use it. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about video. So, the other important distinction here is the way that when people are scrolling through their social feeds, I call what we have the 3-second rule. We have about 3 seconds to get their attention. And if we're asking them to read copy, or if we're asking them to get a good idea about what we're talking about in an image, we may lose them. And a tool that we can use to our benefit is video. And the way I like to look at this is if your channels aren't really running just video, I mean, if your channels are only running static posts, your post performance runs a risk of being static as well. Meaning, if we leverage the strength of video, it delivers higher engagement across all platforms, and it helps us reach higher funnel communications. It enables us to reach more people in the awareness phase that are just learning about who we are and what we're doing. And then it adds additional opportunities to build audiences by measuring view through rates. One of the tools that all of these platforms do when you post a video is it tells you how many people watched 20% of that video, 50% of that video, and 100% of that video. So it starts telling us, A, was that video effective and interesting to people? But B, that I can take that audience that I built and I can know that when I'm posting things, I am reaching the audience that saw 50% of my video to 100% of my video. It's the way that these platforms optimize for consumption. The algorithms want to feed things to people that they find interesting because it has them on their platforms longer so they can advertise more to them. So it's in their interest to get all this relevant content that you're putting out there and make sure it's interesting to the consumer that is scrolling past your content. Now, I want to give you some stats that just give you a really good example of how powerful video is. So, 82% of global internet traffic in 2022 came from video and animation. 91% of consumers want to see more animation content for brands. Animation includes video. 86% of marketing professionals use video and animation as a marketing tool. Social animation and video generates 1,200% more shares than a text and image content. And viewers remember 95% of a video or animation, but only 10% by text. And then 93% of companies have acquired new customers via social media, animation, or video. So the importance here is just showing you how powerful it is. And I guess my question to everyone out here, and I know that there's quite a few people on the call, so I know that there's not as much of an opportunity. Maybe you could even post it in the chat. How many are you currently using, video? And if you are, I'd be really interested in how you're editing that video to post it, because there's a lot of tools that we can work with now to edit video that make it much easier for us to make sure it's compelling. And really open the floor if anybody wants to jump in and just give even feedback on any experiences they've had using video content or AI. I can't really see it.
Scott, this is John. Are there AI tools that will edit the video for you?
So there's a lot of AI video that is available to us. And the issue with AI produced video, it looks very AI produced. However, tools like Canva allow us, if you're going to capture a video on your phone in your community, or if you're going to take something that you saw that was a relevant video that you want to either edit down and repost, you can pull that video into Canva, and it has this fantastic, very user-friendly tool where you can actually see the frame by frame on the lower third of your canvas in Canva, and clip out the parts just by putting borders on them, the parts that you want to save. And so you can do more and more with Canva. It is such a powerful tool. I encourage you to play around with it. If you have some video that you want to upload to it, and it's a free tool to use on a very surface level, and then you could do a paid version of it, which is not that expensive, to do much more in-depth and much more useful video editing, like adding graphics to the screen, adding, copy graphics to the screen and stuff like that. And that's what I would recommend.
There are a bunch of questions in the chat too, Scott.
Okay, let me see if I can see them. Okay.
I could read them for
There we
you.
go. I got it open.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
So, for Energize Action newsletter, LinkedIn for us, getting involved with your client. We have decent engagement in our Facebook post. I'm seeing if there's any relevant to that last. Oh, I'm way back here. Okay. Knowing that energy coaching for a home can be very intimate, it takes a lot of trust to get in the door. Oh, are you talking about, so is that question about, exposing people's privacy too much by showing photos of homes and stuff like that? Is that what that question was?
Nicole said yes.
Yeah. So generally, when you see a lot of these testimonials, you see families sitting on their porch. And many times that's where testimonials take place. Sometimes people don't want to show their personal information. Sometimes they'd say Scott B from Duxbury, Mass. So people can't search me, and I think that if you're worried about privacy, there's a lot of tactics. Again, I would go in and I'd use AI to say, listen, I'm concerned about exposing or making it people feel uncomfortable in my town based on going inside their homes. Then you'll show a picture of them outside their homes and let them tell the story in a testimonial and have the details be in that testimonial. Let's see. Yet limited, hold on, Scott. Will the increased rate of posting yet limited audience time, are those posts seen less? Okay, so very good question. So when we post organically, Facebook is in the business to make money. What they encourage people to do is they encourage them to boost posts with budgets. And that is the way to ensure getting in front of a larger audience. The way to get around that is um, there's many tools we can use, sometimes tagging, relevant, like local towns and municipalities, um, partners that they've worked with, events, dates, things that are searchable on those platforms are going to help you be discovered better and more frequently. And it's very difficult because what you find is with just typical organic posting, you reach between 2 and 5% of your potential audience. So you have to use tools like that to make sure that you are seen more. So is that answer properly answering that question?
Yeah.
The next question is the advantages of a bit.ly over a QR code. That's very straightforward. So a bit.ly is a clickable link that takes you right to that web page, where a QR code is a scannable, image that you would use your phone and your camera picks it up and it takes you to that landing page, usually a landing page. Oh, a lot of concern about AI as it steals content with attribution is a concern of using this. So is that a concern of those using us? So that's where I recommended for AI. It's saying stealing content without attribution. It does. It scans every website based on relevance to what you're looking for, and it comes back to you with a summary. And so, yes, it doesn't often attribute all the content. There are AI tools like Perplexity that are very good at assigning attribution to where the sources came from. But that's why I recommend using AI as a partner or a tool to give you ideas, to help you polish, to put the clay up on the pedestal and you mold it, because it should be an idea generator and a partner, not your answer. Because that is true with AI, is it is getting a lot of flack over not attributing content. Oh, the image of the newsletter. That was an illustration of the one question about the image of the newsletter is different from MailChimp. I was using an illustration, and I didn't, like with the Facebook post, I did the same thing. I used an illustration, but I showed you an actual post. It is very different from the way that MailChimp does produce your post, but it's showing you a best practice because MailChimp will allow you in the body of your email to post multiple posts, and I'm showing you the cadence of how you should think about posting within your newsletter.
Can I just follow up on that? Scott, that was my question. This is Ellen. So, we just have written our newsletter sort of the same way for a long time. There's like a paragraph, which is like a folksy little intro for that month, something sort of, I don't know, personal maybe. And then we just have like bits, never more than like a paragraph. But are there formats like in MailChimp where you could just have, we just haven't done a very good job with this, where you have like the headline, then read more? Are there different like templates in MailChimp? We just have not experimented.
Yes, there are. This is
Okay,
Megan.
so
There are.
we could
And-
use
yeah.
some. I wonder if other people are just stuck in the way you've always done it, and we could use some, maybe a little session on looking at MailChimp templates and which ones make sense these days. Because when we started writing it, nobody was doing it on the phone. No one was reading it on the phone. It's just fundamentally different.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
And Ellen, I'd say I'm in the same spot. Like I want to change my newsletter, but
Right.
I'm just up against which is easiest, is just to
Right.
go with what we had. But yeah.
I could use that. And the other thing, I just wanted to ask other people, guys, it's hard. I think the question about testimonials is true. We coach people like Anne, we coach people in heat pump coaching, but then to get them to give us their permission to post a testimonial, we can't get back to them sometimes. So, we've always felt like testimonials like in Wayland, it's really good when the testimonials from Wayland. It would be easier if we shared testimonials across like communities that were close by. Is that worth trying to do? Or like, in Concord, Brad, if it was testimonial came from Wayland, they just wouldn't care. When it's a testimonial like Karen and Acton, like if it's a neighbor's face you recognize, then you kind of look at it more. So I'm just trying to balance that. It's a pain in the patoozies to try and get testimonials with pictures against they're definitely better when them from your own place. So are you better off with something from one of your collaborating towns, or it's not worth it?
I'll let anybody jump in there on that one. My feeling is I feel like all of the towns in which you're talking about, like if you're talking Lexington versus Concord, they're still local. I think you keep it as local as possible so people feel like it's relevant. Just like where I am here on the South Shore, I would look at neighboring towns and feel like they're local to me. Particularly like my kids play the other kids in football, and there's that local connect. But the more town centric you can be, the better. That's my opinion. So moving on here, shared content systems. So at the beginning, Megan's touched on this in the beginning of our conversation. For shared content systems like social media magic, practice framework includes um, one statewide content library, shared Canva templates, monthly plug and play newsletter modules, one photo bank, local call to action swap fields, and shared success story repository, kind of touching on what you're saying there, Ellen, too. So it mirrors the template library and fast customization rules from Social Media Magic, but it really just tells you the power of when you have very centralized systems. It enables everybody to do so much more that I think the way that the system is designed, and even when you saw Megan flip through the posts, they look like there's a ton of relevant information, and it's just so easy to leverage those tools for your own use. So I think, did I just lose you? Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right, I just lost the screen for a second. Okay, so I'm going to run through a couple of big ideas and activation concepts. And this kind of just tells you how when we galvanize large communities, we can do more. And I lost the box where I could see everybody. So if you can just jump in if you want me to stop and talk any deeper about anything. But really, what this is doing for us is it's creating campaignable social ideas that are designed to increase participation, visibility, and community pride. So I lay out a few examples and I'll just run through a couple for you. One of them is called Creative Culture Jack Moments. That stop the scroll, things that are very timely. And it's creatively using timely events to get people to stop and then creating posts that are relevant to those timely events. So there's an automatic familiarity with them. The next is deep dive educational series that build confidence over time, creating reoccurring multi-part content franchises that can be centrally built and distributed. Statewide challenges. I love this direction and angle, and something's already being done on behalf of MassEnergize, so I won't get too deep into what MassEnergize is working on, but I'm going to give you just a quick example of a program that can have a lot of community penetration. Quarterly savings calculators is another useful tool of getting communities to engage. And really, what all of this does is it shifts from content publishing to campaign participation. So these ideas are just designed to transform existing channels, like your social channels, from strong educational bulletin boards into community powered engagement. And so I'm going to run through a couple of these ideas or examples, and then again, we can open up the floor for any kind of questions because I want to leave some time at the end. But this first one is, we just had the NFL draft and we're right before the NBA draft. So we're between draft seasons. And this was just a way to show how we can play off of a fun cultural moment that is in the news every day, because leading up to the NFL draft and then again leading up to the NBA draft, it's all throughout the news cycle. So that means that it's showing up these actual events in people's social posts. So if you create something really fun and show a stock image of NFL draft, whether they're players on the field or the typical draft shot, and you have a headline that says the only draft worth joining. Get picked for lower bills with a free mass save home energy assessment. So again, just showing a way to make it locally relevant. Another fun example is taking this animated gift pub draft play on home leaks, the only cold draft you should enjoy. Again, the only cold draft you should ever enjoy belongs in a glass. And then again, playing off of things that they can do to take action on a local community level. Why this works? It taps into existing attention moments. It's very playful and memorable and shareable, right? People are like, hey, look at that cool GIF. It's really fun. And here's something that's relevant to me. And then it's very easily to adapt locally. And it's got a very strong call to action that, encourages people to get assessments from MassSave. Another example is like a multi-part content franchise, and that sounds very confusing or complicated, but really what it is I have a couple of examples over to the right of links that can be used off of YouTube. And so essentially what they are is it is a complex, topic that we break down into a series so people can over time learn about the benefits of it. And so you would carefully, and again, I've picked a couple of animations that you could use one at the beginning of a month and then one a week or two later. And the topic could be heat pumps are cool, a three-part series that shows how heat pumps work, how they save you money, how the technology, is very efficient. And part one is how it works. Part two is why it saves. Part three is real resident stories. So a very simple way to harness something that can get people engaged repeatedly so they're tuning in to the information as they see it cross their news feed, throughout the weeks of the month. And so why it works, it simplifies the complexity of the subject matter. It increases saves and shares. People want to save that video and refer to it later. It builds confidence over time. It creates a repeatable content IP. It gives you all something that you can lean into seasonally that shows how you're actively benefiting the community. And it's really ideal for social, ideal for reels, carousel learning, um, and, um, and really just a great tool to help educate the marketplace. And the last one I'm going to share is a really fun. Again, I had mentioned that that MassEnergize is working on a great program that is very similar to this, but I wanted for illustrative purposes show you how we could do something like a statewide challenge, and I call this the Massachusetts LED Challenge. And it's just launching a statewide Massachusetts LED conversion challenge centered around National LED Light Day, which happens to be October 7th, but you could do this at any time in any month of the year. And so it shows how fun competition can occur on a town by town level. And it's so simple. All it is it's asking residents during this time period to switch out their LED bulbs, switch to LED bulbs, and really to create some fun visuals by doing so. So it gets households to participate. We can estimate based on how many bulbs they switch out what the energy savings is and the environmental savings is through CO2 reduction. And so why it works, town pride, right? People are very proud. My town of Duxbury, 72 homes, engaged in the challenge. And then how fun would the actual posts be where you're just asking people to post images of their piles of bulbs that they changed out. And so it would become a viral moment of people just posting all of these posts. They have the posts that fill up their dog bed, fill up their couch, and people will try to outdo each other. So there's visible momentum, family and school participation, because you could penetrate a message like this at a very local level. And then sponsor integration opportunities. A couple of things that we could do is we could work with local hardware stores. We could work with bulb manufacturers to see if they give everybody a free bulb during this one day with a purchase at that hardware store. So creates a traffic driving opportunity to that hardware store. Helps educate people socially. It really could do some fun stuff like a weekly town leaderboard, spotlight residents, challenge progress updates, utility savings fax posts, and retailer partner promotion. So really, that is a fun way that we can get full towns involved. And I am going to actually, so I can see everybody, I am going to stop presenting so I can see everybody again. Here we go. There's everyone. Um, and then I'll stop the share. I'll just leave that open. Is there any questions? Anything that anybody wants to dive deeper into? Would love to open up the floor.
There were a few questions starting at 8:07. One is, does the length of video matter? Does a 3-second GIF?
Great question. So definitely 30 seconds or less because we're never going to get their attention more. The sweet spot, the more and more, if it's a reel, it should be very short form. 5 to 10 seconds will really do the trick. If it's a post in Facebook, 30 seconds or less, 20 seconds is an ideal amount of time. And the shorter, the better. Good question.
And Nicole had a question. Do you have any suggestions for A/B testing when using Facebook or Instagram
Another great
ads?
question. So, A/B testing works really well in ads and in newsletters. When we,
Would you just describe what it is?
sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
So, A/B testing in the case of an ad um, would be very uniform look and feel to two ads with one or two minor changes between them. Because what happens is based on where a call to action button is, where a headline is placed, what the headline says, might change the way people engage with that image or that ad or that video. And so A/B testing helps us determine the optimal placement of imagery, call to action buttons, and headlines to make sure that the ongoing posting is most effective. So it's a great tool used mostly in paid advertising and in newsletters. The difference now, to assimilate that over to on the newsletter side, on the newsletter side of things, A/B testing is many times done in the subject line because we want to get people into the newsletter. And landing pages might be the place where, for larger companies, particularly B2B companies that are promoting B2B business, landing pages is where much of the A/B testing occurs for where the actual click to respond, from a form fill standpoint of how am I going to get people to sign up for something? How am I going to get people to raise their hand? That's quite often done in using multiple landing pages based on user traffic. So what would happen? A great way to describe this is if I have an ad that's going out to 10,000 people, I may send a link to one landing page to 3,300 of them, a link to another landing page that looks very similar to another 3,300, and then the final landing page to the remaining 3,300. And whichever landing page, because there's a large volume of people that are landing on that page, gets the most engagement, whether they clicked on the buttons on the landing page or gave them their information, would be the one that the company went with long term.
So the question is, do you have any suggestions for A/B testing?
So
Should we be doing it?
yeah, I mean, I recommend it if you have the time and you're interested in testing out different platforms. But when you're looking at posts, I think you want to look more at being very clean, concise, and simple. If you're looking to A/B test your newsletters, 100%, I would play with your databases and testing out subject lines to see if certain subject lines get engagement more often than other subject lines, like more calls to action in the subject lines versus an informative subject line, like a sign up now or a, 5 days until this event, and test different wording to see if that gets people to open it more. But for typical posting organically, it's not used much. So there isn't a lot of best practice. The best practice is a very simple headline, a visually recognizable image, and a really easy to understand call to action. and not a lot of veering off of that.
And Christopher pointed out a suggestion that for newsletters, a brief bulleted summary or table of contents somewhere near the top is very helpful to him personally, he said. Is that an element that is generally understood to promote viewers to engage more with newsletter posts, especially on mobile?
I would agree with that tactic. I think that's a great. Now newsletters, when I showed you the best practices, again, those are the things when you're looking at ways that people engage most is laying it out in the way that I illustrated for you. A simple bulleted up front, here's what's inside. I think that's a really smart idea. I like it a lot.
Mhm. And Tom asks, how does a website fit into these communications? Is it only as landing pages? How does it fit into your strategy?
Well, I guess a lot of it would depend on the websites that you have and the tools that you have within the website. Many calls to action are either driving people to a landing page or driving them to deeper information within websites. But, websites are a very centralized tool for information where everything lives long term. So it is where you want to put all of that if you're driving somebody from social or you're driving somebody from a newsletter to get more information on the website. It's your central nervous system for all of your communication. But landing pages, if you have the ability to create custom landing pages based on whether they're events or anything that's happening in your town, and you have the ability to do it, I highly recommend using specific landing pages because if the landing page matches the information in your posts or in your newsletters, the likelihood to convert is so much higher because there's a familiarity from where they were viewing something to where they're engaging, and they don't have to, reacquaint themselves or feel comfortable on the page that they're on. They're already, warmed up to what's on that page.
Mhm. They don't have to navigate to find something.
Right.
I was wondering about boosting posts and if you recommend if that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. If you have a small budget, even if you have $50, and the way you look at boosting posts is you have a follower base that is following whether it's your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn. LinkedIn's very expensive. I would not recommend spending any ad dollars on LinkedIn, but you can affordably, very locally, target people that are following your page and people that look-alike audiences, people that look like people that are following your page. And it's very effective for getting in front of new people. So if you take a small budget and boost a post, and it doesn't have to be every post, it can be something that you see as the most compelling post that you've got to share information that you could get new followers from, I would recommend a very modest boost. And the tool within Facebook makes it very easy to do it. And you make sure you just target people in your town. And when you're looking at lookalike audiences, it's a whole specific category within your business manager that you want to target people that look like the audience that follows you. You can expand your audience.
Ellen had a question. She said, can we boost a post that's on I'm thinking this is a Facebook community group, a forum that's not on their own Facebook page. Is that it,
Well,
Ellen?
if you have access to the business manager, you can. You need access, you need authorization and access to that Facebook business manager that gives you the ability to promote a post that's on that
Yeah,
channel.
we have engagement with the admins for that community forum because actually after attending your last one, Scott, I said we post events, but we worry we're overwhelming the community forum and they'll
Right.
boot us off. And you said, well, just ask them. I'm like, well, that's a good idea. Why didn't I
Yeah.
think of that?
Did
So I
you?
asked them. I did.
Yeah.
I said, hey, we post events. We'd like to not just post events, but things we want people to do. But we're worried we're overstaying our welcome. Like,
Right.
how do we work together? And they said, no, keep posting. Don't worry about it. So I think I can go back to them to say if we wanted to boost a post,
Yeah. They would
Uh,
love it. You're
yeah,
building their audience. You're building their
yeah,
followers by doing
yeah.
that. And you do not need to spend, I would test it with very small budgets. Test it with $50 and see what it
But
does
how will
for
I
you.
know? Because it's not my Facebook page, right? I can see if more people comment, but I can't actually see, I
Yeah.
guess I could see likes, right? But
You
I
would
can't.
ask them for a report on that boosted post. So you
Okay.
specifically, it's a
Yep.
campaign. And
Yep.
you'd say, if you could, yeah, I would like, you offer them, a small nominal fee to boost that post. And upfront, you say, we would like to make sure that this is working for all of our behalf, and we would like a report on that campaign. And it will
Yep.
tell you how many people that follow received that post and engaged with it, how many people that looked like that audience, so how much you widened your reach with that boost, you actually got to engage with it.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, we've never tried that, so maybe we'll try that.
I'm interested in hearing how it goes.
I spread $50 over, I think, 4 different posts for our climate week last week. Was that too small?
Well, how did it do for you? That's why it's different
Well,
for
I have to
everybody.
say it got a lot of views, but we didn't get a lot of people to sign up for things. Like
Right.
didn't more people didn't come to our events
Right. So
because of
then
it.
maybe for the next one, you say you spread $50 over 4 separate posts. Maybe next time you spend $50 on 1 or 2 posts, and then the remaining you try, or a portion of it focused on one post, and then the remaining spread it amongst the others and see how that's kind of almost like an A/B test. See how one performs over the other. I don't know if it was a factor of the boosted post, if it was not relevant to the expanded audience that you reached. Maybe that's what that's telling you, is that they didn't particularly find that relevant to them, you
Mhm.
know?
I have
Brad
a
has a
question.
question.
I have a
Mhm.
question. When you say you list the number of views of a post, is that people who are scrolling and stop at the post so that it's there for a couple seconds so they have it?
Yes.
If it just swings by, that's not a view. That's just a
It's
in the
not a
noise
view.
somewhere. Okay.
Right. And that's why video is so strong, because video causes people to stop. It's just a typical way that our brains are
Yeah.
wired to consume that video. And then it immediately, particularly Meta, very well, YouTube, it does this very well too, is it measures how much of that video you consumed. And now you can tell how interested your audience is in it?
Yeah.
We have a question. Somebody says, and this is actually great because some people don't even have Facebook presences, but we don't, Anne and Wayland says, we don't use Instagram at all. How could we start to do that?
Well, I mean, the best suggestion is to just if establish the account. Are you talking about establishing it on your town's behalf?
I think
Because
it's in the independent group.
in the independent group, so I would immediately go in and establish a an account with Instagram with Meta. It's free. And you pick a memorable handle and you upload a post. You can do it from your desktop, you can do it from your phone. It may be easier for you to establish the account on your desktop, either one, um, and start transacting immediately with it. Start, creating relevant images and posts based on Instagram's easier than Facebook because basically you're capturing photos off your phone and you're writing a very short summary of that photo with a hashtag as a recommendation, and you're posting it. And the steps to do it are very user friendly, and you should, through trial and error, just start trying it on your own. If you wanted a little deeper dive on it, you could go through a tutorial just by going and searching on how do I create my Instagram account. You could do it through, through ChatGPT. You could do it through Google search, and it will give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that.
I just want to follow up, Scott, because I work with Anne on this. We're always trying not to burn out volunteers. So if Anne created that, is there a way other people can post to that same Instagram?
If it's a business account, you have to establish it as a business account, and then there's one person owns that central license to it.
Yeah.
Then they invite, that's the administrator, and then they invite other users in.
Okay.
And that's, way that several people can get access to posting on Spaff.
And also, and we would, through the social media magic, you could have the same content into your Instagram account that we're putting in your Facebook account.
Oh, okay, great. I guess what I don't know is how do you build a following? Like people have to want to follow us, right? So,
It's
um,
a really good question. I think it's
Can you,
relevant.
let's just broaden that question as both Instagram and Facebook. We choose to post in our community forum in our town
Yeah.
because lots of people look at it and our mom's group. Our, Facebook account has 100 followers instead of 3,300.
Right. And what Ellen does in order to get her message out is she uses the community board in her town to drive that message, further. Now, we talked about a few tactics. One of them is that's a great tactic that Ellen's using. Another one is boosting posts to target audiences to your town. You can go in to your business manager and you have the ability to say, I want to spend X amount of dollars, $25, and have this post hit as many residents of my town, Wayland, as I can. And so if your posts are following, and I'll share this deck with you after the call, if your posts are following the best practices, and particularly just to, give my 2 cents in for social media magic, particularly using very well crafted posts that are pretty much made for you, your follower count will grow through the relevant posts targeted right to the audiences in your town. It takes time.
I think we might have time for one more question. Anybody?
I could add comment slash question. Um, I work with Heat Smart Alliance, and I haven't had trouble building the LinkedIn following, although I got members to invite their contacts, which was a good way to get started and to get a sort of critical mass.
Mhm.
But with Facebook, I've been struggling. I've got 31 followers, and I've followed all the relevant groups, and they're not following back. And I feel a little discouraged, so I've kind of been letting that one go, even though I think it's most relevant in terms of posting local information and
Yeah,
news. So yeah, if you have any tips on how to boost your Facebook following,
yeah.
that
I
doesn't
think
just involve waiting for one person to join per month.
I know it must be discouraging too because it does take time. And there may be a tipping point whether there's a local event that's occurring that may be relevant to people that you can leverage that local event to get people to get information from your posts or your news from your page. But the best tactic is a small budget to take the posts that you post with regularity to your town and get it repeatedly in the news feeds of people in your local residents, and particularly Facebook, because I feel like a lot of um, moms and dads, are looking at Facebook for things around their kids' events, sporting events, school events, and I think that's the way to start building your audiences is to really start to try to leverage things that are relevant to moms and dads in that town and see if you can borrow from anything that's happening that's relevant and be a part of, collaborate with the town. See if you can get the town to do something with you and have an ability to tag both you and the town in a post. Then everybody that's following that town page has an opportunity to see what your post is. And then with a couple of successes like that and a small budget as a follow-up to a post or two that's incorporated with a town event, you'll start to see your following grow. And I can't guarantee it. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of very organic, movement.
Thank you. I have two other things that I don't know that you could speak to, but one is What do
Yeah,
you think about next door? And what do you think about making an event instead of a post? Are
right.
there advantages to that?
I'll answer the last one first. I think making an event other than a post is a fantastic idea. What Facebook does with events is they make them so they show up in your drop down. So news feeds show up in your posts show up in your news feed, but events, they not only are accessible in other areas of your Facebook news feed and such, but it also shows up in your notifications drop down. It's a great tool to get in front of people because it sits in your notifications for like 1 or 2 days. So people are checking when their notification buzzes up because somebody's tagged them in something or something, some message went to somebody, and the notification will tell them. Well, they'll also see the event. So that's a great tool. And then what was the first question?
Next door.
Nextdoor. I worked with Nextdoor a few years ago. I had a lot of home improvement clients, and I used it quite a bit um, with some success. I have mixed reviews on it. I've talked to people that love it and think it's a great tool, and I'm yet to really use it. I use Reddit quite a bit for clients right now. I find Reddit a great tool for community. You think about Nextdoor could be great for posting anything that is energy efficient, and it's much more ad friendly than like Reddit is. Reddit is somewhere where you can post something in your local town and you've got a lot of people that go into the Reddit channel and they comment on it. So you've got much more likelihood of penetrating in a channel that gets successive follow-up and comment. But I don't want to speak poorly of Nextdoor. I just have only had limited use with it. And I've heard some people have success with it.
Thank you. I'm going to just add a couple more things here. Scott, that was really terrific. Really,
Oh,
really
thank
terrific.
you.
Thank you so, so much. And as Joe noted in the chat, we are going to share materials. I just wanted to follow up on the social media magic to say that in addition to the real posts that you get, as we've talked about, as a client, you can join the Mass Energize Network, which is the community for leaders. If you guys want to do any chit chatting among yourselves, that this is part of it, as well as um, Canva Pro. If you're a social media magic client, you get access to Canva Pro for two people in your community, which gives you this library of shared templates that we have. And here's a good example of, I think, how we can help communities. If you're working on the specialized building code, here we have 6 posts already for you to take and customize. So this is in our library. Um, yeah, we just like to let you know that those are our tools. We have 3 different memberships. The network membership would be just basic, the community practice, the Facebook page, the resource library. Community connections is where we add in the social media magic, and the community empowerment pro is, which all of the above also includes our website. So if you're interested in knowing more about those, Ariha and I are available to help you with that. But I wanted to just let you know what else is in the social media magic product besides just the um, posts. So that is what I have. So I'd like to thank Scott again. This is really, really good. And I feel like you could do it
Oh,
again. And we have a lot more questions and lots of stuff to dig into. So maybe we'll think about that for some time in the fall.
sure.
So thank you. And
And
Nathan,
thanks
back to you.
everybody for engaging in the
Back to you.
Yeah.
questions. And if anything I can't answer in the future, I'll get the right brains on it to help answer them. So
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, thank you again, Scott. If we were live, I would ask everybody to give you a round of applause. But thank you for your sharing your wisdom, your experience, your suggestions. And it really does benefit us all. So thank you very much. Yeah, now we're getting you're getting a virtual applause.
All
So
right. Well, thank
um,
you. I appreciate it.
yeah.
Really nice to chat with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, folks. I mean, we are almost out of time. I just want to give an opportunity if there's anything pressing people either want to ask or say before we wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Are there any, pressing announcements, anything that people would like to share with others before we close out the evening? Okay, well, if not, please do register and join us for our next community of practice meeting, which will be on on June 9th, I believe.
June
It's that
8th.
June 8th. Okay, excuse me.
Yes.
For June 8th, it's going to be a Monday, and we're going to be talking about youth engagement. So we'll be sharing some of the kind of high level learning and some of the results from our Youth Climate Solutions Challenge. And then the team from Cooler Communities is also going to be sharing some exciting resources that they have been working on to engage youth in kind of both climate leadership, but just climate engagement. So stay posted about that. But again, thank you for joining us this evening. And it's again a warm thanks to Scott for his sharing. So otherwise, good night, everybody, and look forward to seeing you at the next community of practice.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.